Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the ACOUSTUNE RS One. This is my first ACOUSTUNE earphone, and it was I acquired it on a rec from a fellow reviewer, HBB, and I I couldn't agree more with most of what he said. Although my take on it is not that this is a bass head earphone. No, it's not a bass head earphone, because the bass quality of it is way too good, way too good to be considered a bass head earphone. And if I am to, for example, just compare it with the IMR Splash of Gold, the IMR Splash of Gold's got way more quantity of bass than this, and that, yes, can be considered, let's say, a bass head earphone. Anyway, this is the RS1. It's got a kind of a resin polycarbonate type of shell, very small, fits very nicely into my ears. I mean, really, nothing to be said with that, with regards to that. It's got I'm using, sorry, a KB Ear 07 medium-sized tip, and I mean, fit is perfect, isolation perfect. It's flawless. Honestly, it's flawless. I can't really falter in that aspect. In terms of cable, it's not that it's a fault, but you're kind of limited because it's using a Pentacon cable, which is kind of a named MCX type cable. And although the cable is thin and so on and so forth, it's not a bad quality cable. It's actually pretty decent. You're going to have a bit of a hard time if you're going to try and exchange it. I like it, so I really didn't see any point in wanting to buy a Pentacon cable for it. As I said, the earphones fit very nicely. They use a 9.2 millimeter, what ACOUSTUNE calls Mirinx EL drivers, and what apparently this driver has is a synthetic. The diaphragm is made of a synthetic material which simulates the human eardrum membrane. Well, there's a membrane actually that coats the eardrum, and this material that they have manufactured to produce the diaphragm simulates that membrane. And the result of this usage of this novel diaphragm material is that the bass has got the best of both worlds in terms of BA bass and DD bass. BA bass known for being quick, but sometimes a little bit thin. So this has got that quickness of the bass. It's got that attack and cleanliness of the BA bass, coupled with the usual more warm, more tonally pleasing sound that the DD is able to produce. So you have the best of both worlds here. And yes, when I did listen to it, I did confirm that the bass on this thing is really something else. It's a very high quality bass, very high quality bass. I want to mention one other thing which is affected. In stock format, they bring basically nothing in terms of vent, nozzle vent filter or anything of that sort. So and following as well HVB's rec to maybe put something on it to not only prevent any dirt from going in, but maybe to slightly adjust the sound if it's not to your liking. I did that. I initially heard it as it is in stock format, and in stock format, I'll show you here the graph. 1 second. Here we go. In stock format, it's the purple line. As you can see, it's got basically a flat. I mean, the roll off is so minimal that I'm just negligible, below 50 hertz. But it's got this nice thick mid bass, and then it's when it starts to pin again, it peaks at close to 3K, comes down, peaks again at just over 5K, and then comes down a couple of related, and then extension past that. And by doing what I did, which was use a 350 grade filter, I've basically calmed down those peaks. So the 5K peak is gone, and with it is the occasional sibilance that I did here in stock format. And I've just kind of made the pin gain be more gradual. So ideally this would have been a peak, let's say 3K, and then with a gradual roll off or flat up going up. I've actually got a slight upwards curve which peaks at around 5K more or less, and then starts going down. But anyway, it is what it is, and I did it. So all the listening impressions were done, or the majority of the listening was done with this mod performed. And honestly, I couldn't regret having done the mod, because it made the IEM for me and for my music so much nicer, because I like listening to, you know my playlist. If you don't, I'll post it with the review so you guys can see. And I like my bass. I really like my bass, but I like clean vocals, detailed vocals. I like instruments to come across natural. And in stock format, there was just, it wasn't bad. It was good. It was good. But I've heard better, and I wanted a little bit better. And somehow I felt that it could be better, and that's exactly what I did. I did that filter, and as you can see, it basically didn't change radically anything. There wasn't no radical alteration. What does then it sound like? Well, if the vocals were already, let me start with the bass. The bass is just surreal on this thing. The quality of the bass of the RS1 is extremely high, and there's ample quantity of that bass as well. So if we are going to fault it, it's maybe that it might be too mid bass heavy for some people. All right, but that's because of the way it was tuned. But the quality of that sub bass, the quality of that mid bass, unreal. It's got and it's so good, the quality, that you can't even say that it's bloated or it bleeds into the mids in a bad way or anything, because it's good. It's got presence. It's got amazing texture. It's fast. It's clean. It's detailed. It's really, really something else in terms of the bass. The vocals, they were decent as they were in stock format. They had enough presence. They had enough realism. But with this little mod that I did, it improved it better. It made the transients, the resolution, better. The mids have just become cleaner, in my opinion. Okay, the bass and the mids, the way they marry each other, flawless. And although it would have been nice if, some might say that, okay, there's not enough info up top. No, I think it's got more than enough info up top in terms of energy. But what it did surprise me was how 3D it's capable of that 3D-ness that it's capable of producing. Reminded me very much of the Olina. Okay. Yeah, that's in a nutshell the sound. As I mentioned, mid bass might be a little bit too much for some people. They might think that it's excessive, and it's coloring the sound too much. And I guess, yes, I'll respect that. Maybe playing around with some tips will help. That's one thing. The soundstage is not as wide as it could be, especially at this price range. You have IEMs which have better sound stages, but somehow the way it's just done, as I mentioned before, and the way that everything just marries so nicely, the whole frequency spectrum, it's got really nice this really nice ability to make this 3D sensation. All right, as I mentioned before, the treble could be a little bit, there could be a little bit more treble, but personally, I found that the treble was fine, and again, I just want to, I don't want to sound like I'm repeating myself, but the bass is the thing that really the bass and the mids are the thing that really impressed me the most. Kick drums, they just come across so good. I mean, there are several songs that I used, but two songs that where you will be able to see what I'm talking about with regards to the bass is Lately from Calvin Momo, Blissful Sax. It's a kind of a mix between jazz and EDM, let's put it that way. But it's just got the bass on there. I use it quite often with most of my IEMs when I'm trying to see how well they resolve that. And you have to hear it on this thing, on the RS1. It is just unbelievable how well it resolves that impact, and it's really good. Another song which I like hearing to actually well, not only for the bass but for the drums and so on and so forth is having a having a moment here. Oh my God, Elephant from Carol Duboc. Sorry about that. Um, the drum on that, RS1 does it flawlessly. And then if you want to have a perception of how good the mids are, I mean, just listen to Analog from Soul Persona. Very good, very good. Um, you notice that there's real presence, the timbre is correct, the realism, everything is just so good. I couldn't have, like I said, bass and mids, vocals, they really surprised me. I wasn't expecting it, and even in the stock format, just before I did that little mod, they were already, the vocals were already like, wow. I was like, okay, this is serious. um, yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, sound spectrum wise, there's really nothing that I can falter. In terms of its technicalities, instrument separation is excellent. I found imaging as well to be perfect. Detailed retrieval, perfect. Only maybe the soundstage, was an issue, that because it was a little bit more narrow, but it made up that narrowness by having good depth and good height, which gave it then that good 3D effect. So you might not have the width, but you have depth and height, and that gives you that 3D effect that sometimes many IEMs are unable to obtain. And yeah, that I think basically gives us an idea of what the RS1 is as compared to the Olina, because they cost more or less the same thing. What can I say? Well, this for me, taking aside or putting aside the fact that it's got more mid bass than the Olina, it is very similar to the Olina. And while this one will sound maybe more correct for a lot of music genres, because there's no area which has been, let's say, emphasized. This, as it stands, with this little mod on the filter, and even with that, let's say, a little bit extra bloatness of the mid bass, this is very fun. It's a lot of fun, really. I have been reviewing a lot of IEMs lately. Some have been a total disappointment. Some have been great surprises. And I have to admit that this has been one of the most pleasant surprises of the IEMs that I've been reviewing lately. I was genuinely not expecting it to be this good, and it makes me want to perhaps look at other IEMs from ACOUSTUNE and try and see if I can find something that can supplant this. So I'm not going to say it's better than the Olina or worse than Olina. I'm just going to say that it's a different take of a almost very similar sound signature. With the Hana, the same situation, the same thing goes. The Hana, in terms of the mid bass, as well, a little bit less than the RS One. And actually, let me just show you here. I think I've got the graph of the three together. Let me just see. No, I don't, unfortunately. But anyway, I can use this graph and I can explain it to you. So, if basically the Hana and the Olina and the RS One have got very similar curve in terms of the sub bass output, and up to about 1-2 Ks almost. Only difference being there's a little bit more extra bump here in the 100 to 300 hertz on the RS One. The big difference then is here. They all have almost the same kind of flatness that you obtain here with the green line, although the Olina will be slightly above the green line and the Hana slightly below it. With the fact as well that while over here on the RS1 we have an upward slope, as you can see, a very gentle upward slope, on the Olina it's almost ruler flat, and on the Hana it's a downward slope as well, a very gentle downward slope. What all that basically then translates to is that this will be, when you hear it, sounds very clean. This sounds clean but warmer, okay? And this is kind of an in-between of the two. And that's why it's very difficult for me to say one is better than the other, or what stands out. No, they are all similar and different at the same time. They all kind of have the same signature, just different emphasis on different parts of that signature, and they just give an overall final touch which is slightly different, but all of them very good. Obviously the Hana is $170, it's more expensive, but it's also got a more premium construction, which I mean, the Olina has got excellent construction, costs the same price as the RS One. So yeah, definitely wreck this. Definitely wreck this. As I said in the beginning, I don't consider this a bass head set. No, I consider this a very good bass set in terms of quality. And kind of saying it's a bass head set maybe might give the perception to some people that it's just good for bass and it's just all about boom and so on. No. This has got good quality bass. Very good quality bass. I would actually be interested to see another take of this, another evolution of this, RS1 Plus or RS2 or something. I don't know, but I actually would be interested. I think the basic formula is here, and it would be nice to see it improved upon. Anyway, guys, that's it. As always, like and subscribe. Any questions that you have, please feel free to ask away, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye bye.